afternoon, my name is Kirsty Dignam and I'm here to look at the energies for this week with today's Monday's Musings on the 20th of May, a week before a bank holiday. And I had no idea that I was actually going to mention that until giving it space. And that really feels like key this week if we're going to look into what abundance means, what financial assistance means, what any assistance overall means. Being able to give it space, being able to sit in the uncertainty and the discomfort of that in order to really feel into what is going on underneath. What is the common denominator? We can get really caught up, particularly this week, in I need this to happen, that to happen, I need this to come into fruition first before I do this, and this, and this. But underneath it all, there will be one particular energy that is not only asking for us to step up and see where we may be lacking in that, but also to look at any wounds that have occurred as a result of that so that we can embrace the medicine it will bring forth. For many, it will be linked to self-worth and what we can bank on, what we can rely on. And that includes old beliefs, old patterns, old ways of working, so that we can decide which ones to take forward. Which ones are actually in our core truth? Which ones are in alignment to the very vibration that we are? It's going to take some, I'm going to say it, severe honesty with ourselves this week. I was clenching my hands like my grandmother used to whenever she got worried about something. But sitting with that, pausing with that, being in the presence of that. It isn't anything that we haven't already known. It isn't anything that we're not actually asking for and all that we're trying to consciously create. And it isn't something that we're not capable of rectifying. That's the word that I hear, that redefining who we are, what it is we need in order to stand firm in that. There are going to be some, for want of a better phrase, red flags coming to light this week, left over from the new moon in Taurus, that are enticing us to adventure in further to what is actually happening. That does mean we are going to have to stand our ground. We are going to have to convert any stubbornness, really sift through why we do what we do and ground and root in that. Not for the benefit of others, not for the belief of others, but ourselves. There is a great physical opening available this week. And what it really seems is that we need to almost find a different language for this. So I wanted to just call it grounding, but it isn't. What happens when we ground? We can become very flippant in the words that we have used over and over and over in the communications that we have with each other and with ourselves. So, you know, when someone says to me, oh, grounding, I feel like that hasn't got the emphasis that is actually needed this week. Physically opening is more realistic. Being very aware of how underestimated what is being asked of us actually is, how we do not value the more unique conversations we haven't recognized for their individuality. So grounding to one person means something completely different from another. But what is actually happening is there is a physical opening and a deeper connection. Being very mindful that one word, there is no one size fits all this week. Pausing into that, because trying to make any sense of it otherwise is just going to be totally irrational. Totally irrational. Really feeling into our own stance here, our own unique perception and our own individual translation of what is going on is going to be key, so that we can return back to that, which brings me on to one of the main, there's been a few insights for the energy this week, but it is topsy-turvy. We've got that Sagittarius full moon Wednesday, Thursday time, and there's a real predicament there of recognizing what we actually want. It's a really powerful full moon, and it's a really supercharged, enticing invitation to really think into what we want. And I keep saying that word really, and I'm very aware of that. So the reality Sagittarius has a great way of seeing the bigger picture, but that means nothing if we do not know the realistic steps to put in place to get there. And that's where that authenticity is required this week. That's where we're almost being stripped back to the bare bones of what's underneath it all. Okay, so you need this, or you want this, or you're aiming for this, but what one thing, what common denominator is underneath all of it? Heads up, it might not be a pleasant realization, and we may feel like we want to disassociate or fix it or heal it, but we must acknowledge it first. Deep in its core and depth, I just saw the whole whites of an eyeball and all the blood vessels going towards it, because if we do not acknowledge what is hidden underneath it all, we will not recognize where we are seeing ourselves, the world, and each other from. Okay. On that note, there are going to be some older energies coming back to the forefront. I've seen this big thing on TikTok about Generation X getting out there, and they've suddenly been awoken, and yeah, there's, like anything, there's different views for it all, right? Yes, there is a certain energy there that could come forward, a bit more of a, I don't want to say tough love, resilient vibration coming forward, a clear cut vibration coming forward. And perhaps that will portray itself in a more tough love manner. That's not to say that we're not to feel things or be sensitive or whatever, but and what? My grandfather used to have this most incredible way of going, and what? Keeping that balance this week of acting and feeling, that intuitive action is going to be key, because that is the pull. Yeah, that's the discomfort pull of the archer's bow with Sagittarius, but also realigning and recognizing where we're aiming based on that, allowing these uncomfortable necessities to cause a bit of conflict within us so that we can recognize what the hell we're actually aiming for. So yes, there will be some energies coming back, and one of the insights that I got this morning was the ability to be clear and direct, and it's something I avoid. I've always avoided as a child, as a teenager, as an adult, in the spiritual community, but there does come a time when even in midwifery it's like, put your chin down, okay? And what are we going to do about this? That direct, clear transmission that is trying to come through for us all is going to be old school. That's what I hear. It's going to take us back to an innocence beyond what we have kind of picked up over the last few years. Okay, a return to, for many, jobs, relationships, studies, a return to the innocence of a life that we have lived. So I don't mean innocence as in we don't know what's happening, as in childish. I mean childlike, an innocence of, okay, we've walked this, we have that wisdom, but we're still open enough to receive more of that, so that we can be fully embodied in what is going on around us. And the energy is changing. Even for me, as I'm saying this, I feel the energy changing and shifting, and yes, having my own process of navigating that and taking time for that in whatever way works for you this week is going to be key. For me, it's going to be looking at the tarot to see how we can best work alongside the energies rather than against them, and that feels very poignant also as we think of the week ahead. Standing in who we are. This is what I do every Monday, every Wednesday, every Monday. So having that dedication to your path is going to be key as well this week, and committing to that. Looking at where you have committed, looking at perhaps where there may be room for improvement. I know myself, I've got out of a routine of getting up early, and what that does is that heals the masculine within us. When we get up early, we connect to the sun, we connect to that light, we connect to the transformative energy of that. And we can balance not burning ourselves out as well if we can have that more structured routine, if we feel our masculine needs a bit more oomph, and I know mine definitely has. So really feeling into where you may feel as if there's an imbalance and what we can do to bring that back. That's our responsibility, and that's not tough love, that's not being cold, harsh or callous, that's truth. Yeah, only we can take responsibility for ourselves, our emotions, our thoughts and our beliefs. Ultimately we can be aware of where they come from, but once we're aware of something, the responsibility changes, and that can be tempting us not to be as aware as we could be this week. So an example, I've noticed a lot of things in my life. It's not that the stress of things causes me to disassociate. It's not that the beliefs cause me to disassociate. What actually happens for me is when I disassociate from something, my body firmly believes that it's not safe, and it stops trusting myself and the environment around me. It's an ongoing process, but that awareness now is just giving me that permission to sit in things that are a little bit uncomfortable with some curiosity. And that's the other thing that comes with innocence, that curiosity. What is actually going on here? I wonder. Okay, so over this week we are being guided to step into and take a stance in our own vibration, to look at where we may have had judgments on that and the impact that that's had on our path, not to get too caught up in it, but to allow that to fuel us, that discernment with ourselves and frustration at times to fuel us forwards. We are also being encouraged to connect to any ancestral medicine that wishes to come through right now. It's one thing to say, oh yes, I do this because of my parents and this, da, 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 da. Okay, but what's the other side of that? And okay, what can you add to this narrative that is going to be passed on to your relations? Okay, as a child, there's a lot of things we cannot control. When we become an adult, that's when that responsibility changes form and we take that on. Okay. The other thing, to look at what you're doing and to have faith and commitment in continuing it. Last night I had an incredible dream that I was headhunted by an advertising agency. It's an amazing place. Yeah, it had a gym in it. It was like Google headquarters. It was a really incredible place. And they wanted me to work with them based on the post that I'd written. They didn't want me to change. They wanted me to keep going. For me, that's a real message of keep going with what I'm doing. Okay, with the advertisements of what I'm doing, and look at what areas I'm reaching. So really feeling into any dreams for the insights that they're bringing, but also acknowledging the things that are working and perhaps you can't quite see that they're working. Before we quickly jump forward and want to change things, again, feeling into what's going on. Does this need action? Is it evolving itself? What do I need to witness or to put into some realistic goals? There was something else I was going to mention. If you're not sure, go back to the original. Go back to the original. Go back to what has, like I say, worked for you. So for me this morning, I felt really despondent to any of the tarot cards. I didn't feel connected. I didn't feel they weren't relating to where I was. So I've stepped into that nice, clear, direct energy. And for me, that was the originals, the Rider Waite. Sometimes less is more. Yeah, we can get really caught up in all the different views and all the different potentials and lose sight of our own, and that's going to be key this week. There was something else I was going to share and I can't remember, but it will come. It will come. And being okay with that. There are things that will come up, give us a little insight of what's going on, and then disappear and almost feel as if nothing has actually happened. Seeds. We're being asked to plant seeds of potential. Oh yes, that's what it was. Yes, I remember now. See, there you go. I remember now. I was feeling into the concept of time this week. No, today on my walk, as you do. Just feeling into how when the pandemic was here, everything slowed down and people kind of really made the most of life, which is the human condition. We all do it. There's no judgment there. But how since then everything has really sped up. Obviously with wars and with financial concerns and with everything that is going on, we are being initiated into a constant fight or flight, which we're aware of, right? But are we? Are we aware of the impact not only on our bodies, but on the healing that is coming up, that is happening a lot quicker, that is being triggered a lot more, that is being re-instigated continuously by what we see. Now, I'm not saying it's a positive or negative thing. What I'm suggesting is we use that. So there's a great potential there to see things for what they are. Find our own time. We're in that Leo year. Find our own divine timing. Now, divine timing doesn't mean that it is directed purely by the fates or by forces outside of us. Divine timing is that co-collaboration with whatever is going on around us, but being honest with that. being realistic with that, feeding into what is going on for you. There is no point signing up for a London marathon if, like myself, you can't get out of bed in the morning sometimes. Being realistic, being honest, and then putting in smart goals. Yeah, things that are achievable, so specific, measurable, attainable, relatable, and that they have a target. Okay, there's no point trying to do something that someone else is doing their version of. Do you bring it back to that? What is authentically going on for you? So with that in mind, I was going to say in time, with that in mind, recognizing the many things that we disassociate from, regardless of why we disassociate from them, be it abuse, trauma, fear, past experiences, whatever they may be, what we're disassociating from is ourselves. And the fear that we feel is that lack of connection to ourselves. We are physically shut off to ourselves. One of the things that came up for the Sagittarius full moon at the end, I see a lot of people suggesting that we are cautious with our heart. I would play devil's advocate with that. When we are cautious with how we love and who we love, the only person we're opening our heart up to is ourselves. Okay, so if we're limiting that because of external influences, we're limiting our love to ourselves. So who are we really cautious about opening up to? Who are we perhaps, or why are we perhaps restricting the view and the love and the capability and the potential that we have? What about us frightens us? Does that hold too much energy, right? It's the Leo heart. I feel that right in my chest, almost like so much is being let go as a result of that. Okay, so energies this week and how to best navigate them. Go with what you feel. I had no idea this video was going to be about this. Yeah, recognizing that light energy, light, when we talk about the energy of light, we have the King of Swords, no, the Knight of Swords underneath, yeah. When we talk about the energy of light, it doesn't always mean that we make things fluffy or woohoo. I hear that a lot. Or, you know, light energy can be like the sword on the Knight of Swords, to cut through, to make dense energy lighter by not adding to it. Adding our stories to it, being very aware of that this week. Like the heart loves, that's what the heart does. If we put boundaries, conditions, or restrict that, that's coming from us. That's coming from our stories, that's coming from our shadows. It's not coming from the heart for the energy of the soul that it is. The heart is limitless. Love is limitless. But then that could be coming from my story, right? So being very determined in your story and looking honestly, authentically, with integrity, how that impacts your life and those around you. Physically opening, grounding into who we are this week is key. Okay, energies for this week and how to best. And that feels amazing. Oh, it feels like such a bloody relief. Yes, such a relief. Energies this week and how to best navigate them. Okay. 6 of Wands underneath. I was looking at one of my journals to one side, and it's a gratitude journal. You know, where you take moments to be grateful for things throughout your day, throughout your life. However, what I really felt whilst looking at it was not to get too caught up by external views, external gratitudes. So an example, God, my mother, God bless her, would always see the light in a situation, normally by suggesting comparison. You know, well, at least we're not like da 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 da. Really being aware of gratitude for the essence that it is, not toxic gratitude. It's not to say it doesn't exist. It's not to say it's not an opening, a doorway into understanding gratitude more. Just like love. It's not to say that these beliefs we have about the heart and about love aren't right or wrong. They're doorways to exploring more. Whatever happens this week, it is a doorway to exploring more of who we are. Okay, so Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's a headache of a week. Yeah, it is a headache of a week. Okay. Emotionally, on the surface, all may look well. On the surface, all may seem as if nothing's really changed. As if things are bobbing along. I hear the song "Bobbing Along" from Bed Knobs and Broomsticks. Emotionally, I almost don't want to look at this week. Not in a well, of course, in a negative way, but not in a fearful way. Just God. And being mindful of that this week. So, we had the whole Sun conjunct Jupiter over the weekend. We had this luckiest day of the year. We have this energy of, oh my God, the sun's shining, things are wonderful, and they are always. But our feelings are just as valid. So this week, if you're feeling actually, I'm not quite sensing what everyone else is sensing, that's still authentic. Be authentic. Bob along with your own emotions. A lot of dis-ease, a lot of stress, a lot of pain comes from denying what we're feeling. It comes from not being present with what's going on for us and not acknowledging that that's our truth. So on the Monday we have the King of Cups. Today we have the King of Cups, and there is an enticement. I wanted to say an invitation, but it's an enticing invitation to go with the flow. Okay, being mindful of what is actually directing that for you. Is it your emotions? Are they in a balanced state? Is it your whatever's going on for you outside? So today I ordered some stuff for the massage table, and financially, yeah, I could kind of do without it, but we invest, right? We invest in ourselves emotionally and everything else. And I've bought these things, but what's going on in the back of my mind is how much I can't afford it, and I've ended up ordering double and having to cancel the lot and starting again. So being really mindful what energy is directing your flow. And yes, we may not want to look at that, but until we do, yeah, those changes can almost feel as if they're outside of our control, that they're happening to us, particularly on the Tuesday when we have the Tower card. What is important with the Tower card is to remember that it's all about surrender. So we can be aware of what we're feeling, we can be aware of the impact. Doesn't mean we have to do anything. If we could just realize, myself included, the power of awareness. Being aware of something shifts things. Okay, so whether it's pain in your body and you feel it and your body starts releasing endorphins and serotonin because you've been aware of it, whether it's behaviors that you've always done that you're suddenly becoming more conscious of, and you think, just for a split second, actually, I see you. That will change how you react to that. That will change your outcome. It will help you to start walking in again to those doors of your own potential and discovering a bit more, leaving a situation, not by having to actually move from it. Although Tuesday, interesting, I've really taken that on board. Tuesday, we may end up being pushed out of a situation. Whatever stage that is at, relaxing and letting go, knowing that the Tower was always going to happen. The Tower is not man-made change. It is change of enlightenment, where we realize that actually there's a far greater force, a far greater flow. This morning I was thinking about the whole time concept, and yes, I was feeling into how relaxed we all, not relaxed, but how more grounded in a natural rhythm we were during the pandemic, and how things have picked up, but also how that will restore its own balance as well, because no matter how quickly we might want things or not want things, there is a time that goes beyond our limited recognition. And that's really going to come to light on Tuesday. On the Wednesday, we have the Two of Swords, and I want to show this card because, yeah, this is that whole one way or another boundaried, restricted, polar view. And you can see here it actually crosses over the heart. And this is on the Wednesday before we start to lead into that full moon. It crosses over the heart. Being very mindful of that. Having peace is the first step. Being shut off to what is going on in front first and feeling what is going on inside, and then making decisions on the Wednesday. Because then on the Thursday, they're going to come from a more innocent, pure, spiritual, fiery type presence in the Page of Wands. Doesn't mean that there's action yet. Allowing our heart to be the guide could be the biggest change this week for us all, individually and collectively. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. On the Friday, yes, that can leave us thinking, well, what do I want? You know, it's going back to that energy of, well, if I can move, I can get this, and I can relate to this, so I will share it. If I can move, I can get this. If I can advertise this, I can get this. If I can do this, I can get this. Okay, so the shadow, the shadow character here is seeing everything externally. The happiness, the decisions, the choices, the way of living even is in the very cups of life that it's not part of. So bringing it back to the self on the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is a great opportunity. What I see is almost like the soul has been discombobulated, recognizing that they're all linked, that these paths have all been linked, but bringing it back to the shadow, going within those hidden aspects. By shadow, I don't mean darkness, I don't mean bad, I don't even mean light. Shadow means hidden. Okay, so the more light that comes to our awareness this week, particularly on the Thursday, is going to bring up hidden aspects on the Friday, which can make us feel a bit discombobulated. I'm not quite sure who I am, what I want to do, where I'm going with this. No, of course not. All the time it's measured by external factors. Of course not. Come back in. Come back into the heart space. Open it up. Ground. It used to be years ago to ground would be to connect to the earth with our feet. For myself, I noticed over the last 10 years or so, the grounding comes from the heart. The heart goes down into the earth. It's the heart that is opening up. So being very mindful where we believe it has to be this way or that way, and the impact that can have on the heart and our own grounding in our own truth as well. Because it's that we take forward on the Saturday, our own truth. We have that Knight of Swords again, the only card that's come back up for the second time in the reading. And the way that this is placed, it is charging towards everything that has happened throughout the week, almost in a defensive attack mechanism. And that could potentially on the Sunday lead to a feeling of manipulation, a feeling of our mind running away with ourselves. It could be throughout the week as well. That could be the gateway, the invitation that says, oh, there's nothing I can do about it. Oh, so-and-so did this to me. Or, oh, it's because of this and this and this. Okay, stop, pause. That's a doorway. Is that true? Is that true? Do people really control our feelings? Do people really control our actions? Really feeling into that, because once we have that awareness, once we say, this is happening, not who's controlling it, this is happening to me, we are opening that door. We are becoming that tower. We are saying, I hear you, body. I hear you, circumstances. I hear you, truth. Okay, what is it that's my responsibility now? How can I gain victory from this? Because underneath all we have the Six of Wands. That victory there is possible. How can I take what is occurring in my life and move with it, create with it, transmute with it, dare I say it, collaborate with it, work with it? Had a beautiful sound bath yesterday, and some of the things that came up were pain in the body, and one of the cards that came up was the Three of Pentacles. And you know, the recognition that we can work with pain, that we can really go into what is going on, we can give it a color, we can breathe, we can feel into the wisdom of our body. Sometimes I will get a pain and I'll see a plant and I'll connect to that plant, or I'll know that I need to put some music on or dance. But if we're not witnessing these things and actually having a conversation with them, particularly over the weekend, if we're charging and saying, well, this happened on the Monday, and on the Tuesday you did this, and on the Wednesday I felt this, we're going to feel as if things are running away from us on the Sunday. However, if we can look back over the week See it for the opportunity to open our heart. That there isn't one right or wrong way. All that matters is what is authentic to us. Allow that to lead us forward. Surrender anything that isn't in alignment with that, our own beliefs included. Then yes, these indecisions can be recognized as places where we have put our power in the hands of other situations, other people, whatever that may be, and gift us the opportunity to start bringing that back. It can be uncomfortable to look into it, but there is always potential for victory through the transformation of what we're going to do about it as a result. If anything, remember that inaction is also an action. We can be with this, we can feel this, we can become aware of it, we can journal, we can paint, we can create, whatever we feel we need to do this week is going to be key, so that we can keep bobbing along with our emotions. So let's break it down. We have one major arcana this week, and it is the Tower card. And you only need one Tower card in a reading. Yes, there is great change coming this week. Yes, it isn't going to be in our control. There are many times when all of us at one point, maybe on a pedestal or in an ivory tower or a bit untouchable, or not even with other people or situations, but ourselves. I was sharing with my husband today a narrative that goes on and on and on in my head that ends up sparking and inviting me to look at the archetype of hyper independence. I'm fine, I've got this. Super Kirsty. And yeah, every now and then, gratefully, actually, most times once I stop fighting, I'm so pleased to see that come down. To come down. So this week, whatever is falling down around you, recognizing that it's all a wonderful way to see what's actually within you as a result, beyond the survival, beyond the journey, beyond the things that we have had to do, to what has always been there underneath. Okay? Can't quite see that, but being open to that. We then have 1, 2, we'll put them there, that there. Oh, how lovely. So I've just, the Six of Wands has just moved to one side for me. The victory has just literally moved to one side, and underneath it is the Empress. So really grounding to any movement, any change with the earth herself as well this week, with our home, with how we create. That is going to be key. There's big shifts going on with how we create and how conscious we actually are with that. I am sharing so much vulnerability. I have a incredible way of creating from chaos. But sometimes the chaos is really uncomfortable. But I will instigate the chaos because that's how I create. So this week, yes, I would like to shift that narrative and see what it's like to create with ease and grace. I have a wonderful way of creating from a victim mentality of this hasn't worked, that hasn't worked, there's that hyper independence, only I can do this, boom. And yes, it's worked, but it would be nice if it wasn't my whole truth. So this week, really looking at the victory coming from perhaps trying a different way of creating, perhaps underneath it recognizing how we create is how we connect to the earth, okay, and being more response able for that. So now looking back, I don't want to create more chaos in the world. I don't want to create more stubborn, independent, not accepting help from anyone type energy in the world. Of course I don't. So being very mindful of that. Everything has its place, but being very mindful of whether or not that place still exists anymore, or whether or not you want that to still exist in your life. So we have 2 cup cards, the King of Cups and the Seven of Cups. In those moments when you're not sure, where there is a bit of uncertainty, and it can almost instill a feeling of endurance, of that uncomfortable growth, feeling into what you need, being mature with your actions. The old me would very much be like, well, yeah, growth, growth is uncomfortable, If growth is such a natural thing, does it have to be as uncomfortable as it is? Just putting it out there, it's just an invitation. You may think, yes, absolutely, don't talk wet. Okay, that's fine. But really feeling into any emotional stories that we may be carrying and the impact that has on our inability to decide what we need. Our inability to recognize that it's all connected. Okay, there's big healing to be had there. Big healing. Don't you just love that word? Big healing. We then have the Three of Swords, and the reason I go on to the swords next is that big healing energy. It's the mindset as well that's really important here. Three of Swords in the Tower of Three Swords is heartbreak. Where have we pulled ourselves open in different directions? Well, here it's come from being blinded to our own potential, and that has resulted our own mental potential, our own divine potential, but also our own mindset. You know, that phrase of the mind being the us being slaves to our mind, that really springs to mind at the moment. When we're really shut off to our heart, when we're not allowing our heart to make the decisions, when we're blinded to what is actually going on in front of us, that can mean that we charge like a bull in a china shop. There is still some of that Taurus energy going on. There's a great difference between being steadfast and fucking stubborn. And this week, yeah, we're going to be shown that. We're going to be shown that with the universe. And that can lead to defensive action where we feel as if we need to charge in and defend who we are, or it could lead to almost manipulative behaviors. One of the other things for the full moon in Sagittarius this week is that there's the asteroid of Lilith, not dark moon Lilith, but the asteroid of Lilith, and that can lead to an almost shadow Kundalini rising, in particular with the feminine. Having the courage to ask for what you need from yourself first and foremost, and then for others, so that we don't use this manipulative way of creating, is key this week, because all that's going to do is rile people up. All that's going to do is leave us feeling as if we have to fight for our stance. Again, it's going back to that energy of, if we're in our authenticity, we don't need to keep proving that to anybody. The action itself is enough. And that's the other side of that Two of Swords, that having peace. That having peace of being able to hold all versions here, be completely unaffected by what is going on outside in regards to how we see ourselves in the world. Of course, we're going to get affected by the world, mentally, emotionally, physically, and particularly physically this week. There's a big shift in Pachamama, but being unaffected in how we choose to see ourselves in the world, that's the key. It is only the Two of Swords, so giving ourselves a bit of leeway there. Okay, we then have two wand cards, the Page of Wands and the Six of Wands. Again, it's coming back to that innocence, and it feels so wonderful to have the completion of full circles this week. That's what we're being faced with, an opportunity for, dare I say it, closure by opening up. Closure by saying, actually, I'm going to let go of all the things that have stopped me being open. Okay, closure by really embracing that innocence, not the immature, childish, manipulative, stamp our feet, temper tantrum type energy, but the, oh my God, look at me being a child. that love, that unconditional love, that compassion, that gentility there, but also seeing things for what they are and remaining open to what they could be as a result is really pivotal. And that's where I see the Tower card, that lightning bolt of enlightenment within us, where we just let go of anything that is keeping us in places and situations that aren't healthy anymore. Oh, card. Card that just fell on the floor, so we're going to go with that. Okay. Yeah, there's that bank, right? There's that resource, there's that reconnection to the earth, that reconnection to our physical body, that reconnection to what abundance means, seeing this week for the physical gift that it is, no matter what is going on, as an opening, a doorway, a little portal there into further discovery, not only into our growth, but what is actually behind it all. Take care, have the most incredible week, and I shall see you post Sagittarius moon. Take care.